Hey guys, this video lesson goes over surface area of rectangular prisms. Please make sure you have the notes open as I go through and be following along. Also have a calculator handy. Alright, so let's start with a refresher. Here's a net right on the left here, and we just want to find the area of this shape. So we have a whole bunch of rectangles going on, and we have actually two of the same rectangle, but three different types. So here's what I mean. We have, you can see, I'm going to make shape A my 5 by 6. Well, I have one 5 by 6 on the right, and then also one 5 by 6 over here on the left as well. So I'm going to label them both shape A. And then shape B, let's make those the 5 by 10s. So you can see there's a 5 by 10 right there, and then another 5 by 10 would be up here as well. Because if you remember a net, if I were to reconfigure this 3D shape and put it back together, those two side lengths right there would have to be the same. So we know that's our 5 by 10 as well. And then shape C, let's make that our last rectangle. That would be a 6 by 10. And I know you can clearly see that this is 6 right here, but since this, let me highlight for us, is 10, then we know all of these sides here are going to be 10 as well. And you can see they did label one of those up top. So that means down here, that would be a 10 by 6. So now I have all three of my shapes, or all three of my different types of rectangles labeled. Now we can start by finding the area of each. So let's start with shape A. Remember they're rectangles, so we're just doing base times height. Shape A was a 5 times 6. All right, well, 5 times 6 is 30. Now here's where the tricky part, you have to remember there are two shape A's. So I found the area of one was 30. So when I multiply it by 2, the area of both shape A's is 60 meters squared. Now we're done with shape A's, let's go to shape B. Shape B we said was our 10 by 5, so area equals 10 times 5. 10 times 5 is 50, but again, we have two shape B's, so we have to do 50 times 2 to get 100. And then last but not least, shape C. Shape C was our 6 by 10s, and 6 times 10 is 60. Again, we have two shape C's, so 60 times 2 is 120. Now we found our area of each individual rectangle. We have to find our total area by adding up 100 plus 60 plus 120. When you add all of those together, you should get 280 meters squared as your total area. So what we actually just found was the area of a rectangular prism. So remember, again, we talked about nets before. We just found the area of that net, and when we put it back together, our 3D shape is a rectangular prism. So what we're doing today is taking a rectangular prism, using the net, and finding our area. So here we have a net of a rectangular prism. I think the very first thing you should do is label your sides. So notice they give me 3 numbers, but they're all kind of spread out. So I like to label everything I have so that when I go to label my shape A, B, and C, it's much easier to see what I have. So let's start with that 8 at the bottom right here. Remember, if I know that side length is 8, then I can just follow that up. I know that would be 8. That's not an 8. This would be 8, this would be 8, all the way up. Okay, all right, well, how about that 3 next? We can look at that 3. If we know this is 3 here, we can follow that over. This would be 3, this would be 3. Then down here, we can clearly see that these are the same shape, same rectangle. So this would be 3 down here, 3 down here as well. And then last but not least, we have that 5 on the side right here. If I can highlight, there you go. So 5, if I know that side's 5, I know this side is 5 as well. And then same thing, I know if I had a top that's an 8 by 5, the bottom of my rectangle also has to be an 8 by 5. And then the tricky part, again, you have to think back to when you fold up a net. If I know this side length is 5 right here, I know this side length has to be 5 as well, right? They're technically the same side when I would fold this net back up to make my 3D shape. So, whole bunch of labeling we just did, but what that gave us is our 3 different rectangles. So, notice, I'll make my shape A 8 by 5s. Let's make my shape B's 3 by 8s. And then my third shape, shape C, can be my 5 by 3s. All right, hard part's done. Now we just need to find the area of each shape. So shape A, we said area was 8 times 5. 8 times 5 is 40. But there are 2 shape A's, so we need to do 40 times 2 to get 80. Shape B, we made shape B our 8 by 3s, so area equals 8 times 3. So my area of shape B is 24, but again, we have 2 of them. So 24 times 2 is 48. Last but not least, shape C. Shape C was my tiny 5 by 3s. 5 times 3 is 15. We have 2 of them, so we need to do 15 times 2 to get 30. Final step, add up our areas. 80 plus 48 plus 30. And again, remember you can use a calculator through this whole unit, but you should get 158 inches squared as your total area for this rectangular prism. All right, this next one looks like we have all of our labels. If we go around this whole shape, we would just be labeling 6 all around our shape, right? It's saying all of the side lengths are going to be 6 centimeters, which is kind of great for us because this is a square, right? We know that when all 4 sides are the same length, that is a square. So what we can do is find the area of one of our squares and then count how many we have. So if I go around, I have 1 square, 2 square, 3 squares, 4, 5, 6 squares. So once I find the area of 1 square, if I multiply it by 6, I get my area of this whole shape. So let's do that. So area of just my first square would be 6 times 6. Well, 6 times 6 is 36. And then again, all we have to do, since they're all the exact same shape, we can take the area of 1 square and multiply it by the amount of squares you have, which would give you a total area of 216 centimeters squared. Now again, this only works if they tell you that all 4 sides are the same length, 6 centimeters all the way around. Find the area of 1, you can find the area of all. All right, this next one's a little tricky because they didn't label anything for us. They gave us our rectangular prism and then an empty net. So we have to start by labeling. I like to always label the base first, and I just usually use this right in the middle as my base. It's just a personal preference, but it helps me kind of label the correct way. So if I look at my rectangular prism, my base is a 3 by 6. So when I go to my net, I can label, well, the long part we just said was 6, and then the short part was 3. And then that's a good start for me because I remember if I know that this right here is 6, then I can label a whole bunch of 6s on here all the way down and across. And then same thing for 3, since I know that this right here is 3, I can label my 3s all the way across here. So next, after I label my base, right, we can see my bottom is, I'll make that shape A just so we can see it. If you have a bottom that is a 6 by 3, well, the top has to be the same exact size. So I'm gonna make this another shape A for my top part up there. And then the only other number we're still missing is our 2 feet. So that one needs to be on the small side with my 3. So right here, that would be a 3 by 2. Well, if that's 2, I know this is 2. And then same thing, if one side is a 6 by 2, we know the other side has to be a 6 by 2 as well. So shape A is my 6 by 3s. I'll make shape B's my 6 by 2s, and then shape C's can be my little guys. Okay, so labeling the hard part, we're done. Now we just need to find the area of each. So shape A was a 6 by 3. 6 times 3 is 18, but we have 2 shape A's, so we need to do 18 times 2 to get 36. Shape B, we made shape B our 6 times 2's, or 6 by 2's. 6 times 2 is 12. Again, we have 2 shape B's, so we need to do 12 times 2 to get 24. Last but not least, C, our little guys, we have 3 by 2's. 3 times 2 is 6. We have 2 of them, so 6 times 2 is 12. Final step here, add all of our areas together. So 36 plus 24 plus 12. If you have your calculator, go ahead and plug that in, but you should get 72 feet squared as your total area. So from here, there are a bunch of practice slides we want you working on. Please make sure you check the key when you finish to make sure you were on the right track. Good luck.